Are you ready for the experience of a lifetime? Through a mystical world, a soundtrack, the likes that ye have little heard of. However, for those that have seen Tarzan and the wondrous music that is Phil Collins, maybe, just maybe you know in which I was talking about. We got Game of Thrones, it's coming back soon. Oh my goodness, unreal. You guys watched all of that? Welcome to another edition of X-Feed. My name is Schiller. Today we're talking about token works. Today we're going to be talking about segment redemptions. Today we're going to be talking about how Game of Thrones is back. Today we're going to be talking and showing the original theme song opening title video that we used to do on streams. But then I realized, what's the point of doing an opening stream, like screen for the stream? But having a cool music bed is something that's amazing. And it's more amazing when... Oh, that's myself. I need to mute myself. Oh, no, it went away. See, if you go to my channel, traditionally speaking, there is a clip of when... or I should say like a promotional video of when we just open the streams. But I don't know if I can even get this. Nah, that's unbelievable. All right, I'm going to have to go find that later on or end the stream and go from there. Let's get into it. Thank you so much for coming on through. The RWA SegMints Podcast, we do them every Tuesday. SVY Sell, absolute legend, tokenizing, spirits, whiskey, all that kind of stuff. Have them on kind of regularly. What do we talk about on the most recent episode? In recounting the times, we've seen where... dollars have gotten tokenized, arguably one of the first things that's gotten tokenized within this RWA space. We've moved along and then found NFTs, and it's all these digital tokenized assets, essentially. And when I say tokenized, it's like, it's everything is like a real world asset technically, but it's, online. And then we're at a point now where everything is starting to get tokenized, even going to these events where you can walk away with proof of attendance protocol, POAPs, and all this stuff to kind of show, hey, I was a part of this. And I don't know if you saw, I think it was an American Express that had a passport, digital collectible passport option for users where if they travel different parts of the world, they'll actually get a digital kind of collectible to commemorate that idea. And I don't think it's charging anything. It's just something new that's doing. But
I love that.
Yeah, I think that's super, super cool. But when we see the tokenization of all these different things, from money to the fact of you going to an event or a different country, do you think there's like dangers of tokenizing too much, whether it be the loss of privacy, over speculation, or something else?
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head, which is my only real concern of tokenizing. Like, I don't think that there's an issue of tokenizing too much, because it's a question of like, do you think we're putting too much data out into the world? Like, yeah, in a lot of ways. There was some crazy statistic I saw years ago, which is like there are more photos taken on like an hourly basis now than over the course of like 70 years, up until like something crazy, like it was some crazy and then you realize that it's because everyone has a camera. Every camera is constantly taking. You've got cameras in cars. I have a Tesla. It has like 8 cameras. Like everything is taking pictures now all the time. And then you think about the fact that data is being stored. It's like, okay, we're going to constantly need more and more and more storage capacity. So in one regard, that is kind of, oh, well, is there too much data on the chains? But that is actually the purpose of the chains, is for them to become these, limitless, data storage vehicles. Then I'm sure the question will come in the future of like, okay, what about accessing, how do we access data? How do we do this? The cost of accessing the data or storing it at like the states, leave that for the devs and the big brains to figure it out. For us, it's like, okay, what else can we put onto this data to make it interoperable? But to your point, the only real concern I have is absolutely around privacy. So the digital passport, I think, is awesome because I go to so many places now when I travel, and like there are so few, like fewer and fewer places still stamp your passport. And if they do, the stamp is like impossible to see. The guy who's sitting there is just slapping, like he's not paying attention.
And like that was one of the coolest things.
Exactly. I'm like, if I was like, you couldn't even tell that I entered this country legally. And that for me becomes like, it's not even the question of like, oh, okay, I need it or whatever it is, but it's just so sad because like as a kid, I mean, first of all, I remember playing certain games and stuff that was like Carmen Sandiego or like whatever. And like the whole concept of like passports, and like I would go see like my parents from when they were younger, or like my grandparents, the stamps were so cool. It was so interesting to see all the different places in the world that you've been to And like your passport became your quote unquote NFT collectible book, or the fact that like people used to have signature books, like for celebrity, like autograph books. Right now, you may have a piece of memorabilia or something that you get autographed if you go to a game, but people used to have like a book and it just had pages and they'd have each, like they'd go around trying to collect celebrity signatures. And I think that is super cool because again, it becomes like your own personal record and log of like the different, of what you've been able to capture. So I do love the idea of POAPs. I love the idea of the digital passports and all these types of things. I love the idea of having some sort of system that you can use for loyalty and rewards for customers who engage in certain behavior. It's one of the use cases that I do think we will eventually see really emerge for soul-bound NFTs and potentially for compressed NFTs on Solana for CNFTs. Again, so like you can reduce the cost and just have these things. But at the same time, what you're basically doing is doxing wallets. And that becomes like a major, major concern. And so
shucks. Well, wasn't that the absolute best bit of audio with a little bit of a screen share of showing what the Amex passport is? But again, that's like my conversation with Svi. If you want to hear me talk with, again, some of the best, brightest minds. Yo, you watch this? Listen, I know when I'm out of my depth. I got to talk with some of the smartest people in the world. It's crazy. If you want to hear that, again, links down in the description below on YouTube or in my bio on X if you are following over there. But the Amex passport, this was something that I just saw the other day. And as Svi said, imagine you're going through, right? You're getting the stamp from the agent and they don't really put much ink on it, or they like kind of like passively just stamp, and then you're like, I can't even, sir, can you stamp this again? And then they give you the look and you're like, well, I'm not going to get that stamp. That's going to be tough. Now you can get it in a digital form. That concept is super cool. And like hearing Svi's reaction of like, hey, you know what? Like I actually think that that's a really, really cool thing is awesome. I love that. I love that. And over on Segment as well, the redemption is now live. So if you guys have been playing the catch, if you got collector score either or from the adventures and have redeemed the Vibes TCG slabs, you can now redeem, which I need to do later tonight. So somebody remind me, because we got to redeem and then we can show it off on here. Just a quick little update from Garga. Bored Ape NFTs are not securities. Nice, guys. We made it. Court rules and landmark decision. So I guess that is that. And of course, they use the ape that I think tagline, which is from like watching these streams, hangs out and like, we have a Discord, by the way, for anybody that's like not aware. It's the Shillerverse Discord. I think it's in my bio on X. I don't know if like the exclamation mark Discord thing works, but we have some absolute legends in that Discord, including Mr. Harry Swan. What's up, Deadpool Diva? No, I'm glad that you're here, baby. And Super Bowl, how are we? Phil Collins, unbelievable start. And I think Tagline minted that, and then Eminem bought it, and then I think Eminem sold it. But very cool headline, nonetheless. So I've made posts before. This is maybe my most viral post ever, and how to come back to it. 18,000 impressions. Yo, I even liked my own tweet. Always like your own tweets. If you're not liking your own tweets, you ain't even trying. Happy Miracle Monday. How are we? So somebody responded saying we were just getting a couple of, wait for a second. So there's a whole hoopla about like Futureverse and all that kind of stuff. We did a very long stream and that got like 400 plus views on YouTube. Holy smokes. What's going on? But if you guys want to see my full breakdown and reaction to that, but not so good things are happening, and even worse things are occurring from what I've seen from the chats. But anyway, just Jin saying was just getting a couple of IPs ready to onboard and launch. Not sure how long it takes to restructure. Wondering if there's still the potential to keep building on the platform that was already put in place. Seems like Shen is trying to step up to the plate. We had that question the other day. It seems like the Gen 3 games are trying to do something. Can I make like a bold claim for a second? Sorry, this isn't a claim. This is just, I guess it's, because a claim is saying, I claim this. I own this. I don't know if I want to like own this idea. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's not like that great of a thought, but I think it's kind of a brilliant thought. Man, Larva Labs has got to be all in on these strategies. Think about the liquidity that's just flowing around for them. How many we get? We're getting like the X Copy one. We're getting the Jack Butcher tomorrow. We're getting Good Vibes Club. You're telling me that the entire strategies are not going to go insane to then we go to the Quine drop by Larva Labs, which is an auction, mind you. And oh yeah, right. There is less than 500 of these things. And then you go back to the post from Rhinotic, the guy who created all of the things around the strategy tokens. And can we please take a little bit of a gander of what the exact text is? New types of projects. We're grateful for an incredible list of new partners that have reached out launching strategies with new use cases. Some of these include launching NFT projects in tandem with strategies. We said that the other day. ERC20 based strategies and a number of different strategy products on other chains. See, we can just say things now and like you're probably going to be right about it. So just say you're like wildest things ever and just fake it. So here's another one for you. I remember watching, I don't know if it was like some Entertainment Tonight, TMZ sort of thing, but there was a person, and when you have somebody that shows up on the screen, right? All of a sudden you have to kind of look the part. Hold on, excuse me for a second, right? And you wait for it, and then they give you like the nod, you're about to be on camera, and then you're on camera, and then the name comes across, right? And it says what your name is, and then your title and or qualification. This person's qualification was celebrity expert. What? So you can just say things. It don't even matter. As long as somebody doesn't know more than you or can like prove that you're faking it till you make it, you're fine. Just whatever title you want, it's yours. Rock it. Yo, Juice, what's going on? How we doing? Some of these include launching NFT projects in tandem with strategies. Remember, that is the thing. Chiller is a fish. True, 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 true. I'm just saying, I think Quine is going to end up being that, and it's crazy. So now we're getting theories about X copying. And like, mind you, I have one of these. So like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. We'll kind of see. Yo, trading the goblin strategy thing today was not the play. Yo, hands up if you were paying attention and absolutely gobsmacked by the entire thing. Did you guys see how much volume went through this? Hold on a second. I don't know if we're going to be able to see on this. The gob strategy. This thing, minute one, was like 50 ETH. 50. It was holding 50 ETH when it's a 95% tax that like goes down over time. The amount of people that I saw that were posting like, I didn't know about the tax, or oh my goodness. And then I think the problem, and I don't know if this is like in the contract or if they fixed it, but because there was so much demand, which there shouldn't have been, but I think people were just ignorant of how the mechanics actually worked. It was getting taxed when it bought, and like for the buyback of its own token, it was getting taxed like 90, 85, 75% all the way down. So a lot of the initial, like this should have actually been higher, I think, unless they put a block on it. Because I know the team said something about they were going to buy later. And this is the crazy stuff. So you're sitting here and there's just like tweets from founders, there's people that are saying things, and like we're back to the point that you can just say things, right? And that's the theme of the show. You can say things and oh my goodness, what happens? Craziness. A fresh wallet just swept 39 V-Friends. Guys, you remember Gary V and the V-Friends? When was the last time that you looked at what like V-Friends look like? So be honest with me. Be honest with me. When was the last time you looked? Because today, together, we could look at what V-Friends looks like. How crazy would that be? Because I don't think you've seen them. And if you have, you need a little bit of a refresher. Who wants to buy a V-Friend? ETH 0.5, yo, 1.5er. The responsive RAM. Holy smokes. Can you imagine Gary V's victory lap if he goes around and like actually is able to make some fireworks happen? When people keep saying NFTs, yo, is Gary V the secret savior with the V-Friends? The volumes of all of these things are just going absolutely bonkers. And everybody's speculating on these things. So today, Goblin Town, it dropped. This was a collection at one point last cycle, whenever things went nuts, just skyrocketed. Went from like Nothing to 10 ETH. And everybody's like, why? And then you went to an event and they would set up a food truck and hire these actors that would just make goblin noises. Or they would have spaces where people would just stand or, sit while on their phone, talking on X Spaces, making goblin noises to each other. It was a very interesting time within the world. And then they go on, they have a token, they have a game that's sort of their variation of like the up-only game, and they're a part of the drop today. They make all these different announcements. So for each of these strategies, which was projected or predicted that they were going to each introduce a certain mechanic of sorts to their strategies to add a little bit of a twist. Goblin Town, when they made their announcement today, here's how we're leaning in. We're using the entire 1% Goblin Town allocation to buy and burn NFT strategy goblins listed for 1.2x. Instead of just accumulated, we're burning the Goblin Town NFTs, making the entire collection immediately deflationary. Let's be honest, there are way too many goblins, and some of them are really ugly. Joke, they're all beautiful, disgusting little snowflakes, and each one will be cherished and remembered. On top of that, each goblin carries 500,000 GOB tokens allocated over the next 2 years. So I didn't even know they had like their own token, like Bored Ape's Ape Coin or Azuki's Anime Coin. Like I didn't know they had that until like today. Both OpenSea and DEX supply should reflect the deflationary impact, and our wrinkle to the NFT strategy is using it to make both Goblin Town NFTs and GOB deflationary, plus the deflationary mechanics of that. So this was like bonkers because again, people bought so many of them. It swept like it was like 600 ish, very close to. And everybody's just posting the chart of the NFT being down only. There's a lot of speculation going on. Again, we just looked at the VFriends chart before it had a strategy actually announced, and then boom. Calio, people are nowhere nearly as bullish as they should be on NFTs. Every single thesis that made them so viral last cycle is still valid, except for this time around, there are foundational communities and projects that already exist heading into the next bull run. There's better tech to see some of the vision through, and there's a ton more capital trickling down from the top to drive the mania when it happens. Digital art and collectibles just make sense in a digital world. They are a high beta play on the underlying ecosystem they're issued on. It's that simple. So again, we've done this stream for 2 years, every single day, Monday through Friday. Well, we might have missed one or here or there. Maybe last week I might have missed one there, but let's close enough, right? Respectable. When was the last time that you've seen like this sort of excitement on the timeline generally from like everyone over anything? Hey, listen, if you could take like an AI and be like, go and watch all these other previous streams, what would it say? What would it say about the time right now? Ronald Weasley from Harry Potter. You guys see this video clip? Expensive petroleum! Why is he... He's screaming expensive petroleum because of the whole Wingardium Leviosa or whatever it is, right? That's the line. Guys at a gas station, they're making him do Harry Potter impressions. Normally got to go to Comic-Con and pay like $200 for a picture that they don't even want to take. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Here we go. Hold on. This is so with all the conversations, I'm just going to bring up random things here and there, right? As we do. So a while back, people were talking about the Genesis NFT collections, which are like OpenSea's thing. There's like $130 right now. There's like 90,000 of them, some odd. There's like contributor ones. There's core ones. Those are like 2.5 ETH, which I'm like, I don't know if that's respectable or like holy moly. And we haven't heard anything from the Genesis, but somebody found this from several months ago. 10 months ago. It's possible that holding on to something can lead to multiple good things, when talking about the Genesis NFT collection. Now, that was back in January. We don't really know what to expect. But do you know what to expect? That winter is coming and Game of Thrones, it's back. Yo, listen to that music. Oh my goodness. Yo. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I just wanted to re-listen to that. But Game of Thrones, yeah, apparently the Duncan, I don't even follow Game of Thrones. How uncanny is that? But this winter, that new subset series, we're still waiting for House of the Dragon. But that one with like Duncan, the soldier, the warrior, whatever that is, that's one of them. Okay, continuing on here. Whiskey Titan. Oh, that's the Svi. This is Svi. You know what he said? There is a ton of retail left to onboard. They just don't want the crap you're selling to them. Well, that is tough. But also I feel like sort of true. When you go over the Disney Pinnacle stuff, right? Like the concept is sort of there. They have to be like, yeah, I like the aspect of collecting something like official and digital, but I think Disney Pinnacle is there. And I think when we're seeing a lot of these platforms that are tokenizing card games, collectibles as a whole, that's super interesting and could give people a different way to trade if they're just wanting to have something within a digital frame of mind, if you will. But I kind of agree with them the more that I see these things. And then you see this on the timeline too. Indiana sues to recover funds from ex-employee who bought sports cards with the city credit card. The person allegedly bought more than $250,000 worth of sports trading cards for his own use. Can you imagine how pissed the boss would be? So with all this art talk, have you seen this around DK? What an artist. What a piece. It's very cool to see what these like art projects have in store. Aspen Shredder NFTs volume continuing to decline. OpenSea as traders and collectors' attention. Is this the start of the bull run? Are people going to still farm the OpenSea chests? Are people going to farm other systems? Magic Eden has talked about how this is going to be a big week. I mean, everybody's just randomly saying that. I think everybody's just saying things. Everybody is just saying things. But Robbie Ferguson from Immutable, this guy, every stream, we're talking about him bull posting. He's like the only person I see on the timeline every single day. These weekly updates at Immutable are getting out of hand. Signed a 20-year-old IP with 50 million plus total players. Launched Polygon Hub, which they're connected with Polygon, which is super interesting. $250,000 Illuvium tournament, which Illuvium is still going and offering different prize pools for people to play their game. And then they're also doing a gaming panel at 2049. A lot of announcements coming out of Immutable. And then Coinbase with a credit card. Very interesting. Would you want a credit card that was like crypto related? Does that sound cool? Is that cool? These are the questions you have to ask yourself. And this is bonkers. This is bonkers. So the Punk Strategy co-founder, Rhinotic, has made 200 ETH, $950,000 for just coming up with the NFT strategy idea. That's nuts. So we have all these other launches that we're waiting for this week. In terms of news, I'm watching the timeline. And we saw Moonbirds literally announce their token. And then the hype for that I felt like lasted less than a day. I don't know if we're at a period now where people are wanting to delay announcements or doing whatever they could to get his attention. Because I think during that stream, he made a comment basically insinuating that everybody's reaching out to him and he feels like he has too much power right now. So for these next 7 launches, because he made a post that said, we have like another 7 launches, I believe, after these ones, or it could have been 6 because we only have 6 left, and I think it was the same number. But so what are going to be those other 6? Because we've just seen where everybody goes running out and speculating. That's what's kind of moved the whole market. I feel like there's parts of this that is going to end very awkwardly if something doesn't get a strategy, but then we know that everything is getting a strategy. But they have to win the auction for it. So how much are those original ones going to go to? And that's what we got. Thread Guys, the new Steve Aoki. How the fudge monkey do you drop the ball with Adam's interview? I felt that he went into it, and you could tell that he just didn't have a vested interest. I think that's the best way that I would describe it, because I've I mean, I guess from like an interview perspective, I feel like I genuinely feel more like upbeat. Like, for example, the Ben Jordan interview. If you guys thought that I was like more interested in that one than some of like the older ones, it's like, okay, well, like clearly, I had a vested interest in like what was going on there and not for the other ones, because every single one of like the Root Network interviews within like that ecosystem, I feel like I was kind of the same for it, but like way more upbeat within that particular one. Because it was like, okay, like I know a little bit more about. But yeah, having that opportunity to talk with them could be like a generational interview too. Because you think, if this is actually how things get traded and people are ignoring the fact of just like the cultural relevance of CryptoPunks, if that continues, because all this is, and that's the big scary part with it. It's like, okay, do we pay attention to the utility and the tokens and the stuff that's happening or getting funded over there, or is there stuff that's more of like the cultural play? Well, it doesn't need that extra back. And well, okay, hold on, that one over there's got a massive war chest and they can do some really cool things. And then what's innovative, what's not, what's wasting it? And it's like, there's so much to go around. There's so much to go around. It's crazy. But that's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Thank you guys so much for coming on through. Mr. Gale, be sure, Juicy Jude, Harry Swan, Deadpool Diva and Super Bowl. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. I'll catch you tomorrow. And again, if you guys want to listen to the RWA SegMints podcast, links in the description below or in my bio on X, and I will see you soon. Peace.